how to create song credits for our Sunday morning services. We're going to do that in Adobe Premiere, but before I do that, I'm going to just kind of show you a little bit what I'm talking about. So do all of our music licensing through CCLI. They have display recommendations, and this is what they are. They want it to be displayed like this. We don't do it. We're not going to do it exactly like that. This just takes up a lot of screen real estate, and uh, it may not be exactly correct, but it's a lot better than nothing, and we're going to get most of this information on there. So, um, in order to find this information for the song that you want to create credits for on PCO, all you have to do is come over here to this little thing and hit lyrics. It's going to open up a new window, and you can find, this is the name of the song. It's Elevation Worship by Aaron Robertson, Chris Brown, and Stephen Furtick. So we're going to input that information into a graphic that's animated. So there's a template file for this in Adobe Premiere. If you don't have Premiere, you can use the iMac Pro editor that's currently in the control room. And I'm going to navigate to where the template is, which it is in the production folder under assets, graphics, lower thirds, and then song credits. And then it's this file. And this template file was created in Premiere 2020. So if you're not using the editor in the control room, make sure you have Premiere 2020. Okay, so I have the template open now, and so if you're new to Premiere, basically make sure that you're in this. You've got these different layouts. Make sure you're on editing. That will bring up a project file browser over here. It will bring up an effect control window here, your timeline here, and your preview window over here. So this blue thing is called the play head. You can click on it and move it across the timeline in time. These are layers. So we've got 4 video layers, and currently there's nothing in the audio layers. You can resize all of this by hovering over several different ways. You can change the ratio of video to audio. You can change the size of each video track. You can change the size of the timeline itself by, for some reason I can't do it. There it goes. You can change the size of the timeline itself. You can use this bottom thing to zoom in and out in time. You notice these are seconds. So what I've done here is I've got just this screenshot of one of our services with the lyrics below it, so that you can see what it's going to look like. So I can toggle that on and off using this eye. And before we export it, we need to make sure that this is hidden. Otherwise, it will export it with this picture. If you notice, in this template, we have it saved with Reckless Love and some songwriters and our CCLI number. So what I'm going to do, I've got these nested sequences. So I'm going to go into the first one, and then you see there's a CCLI number, right? So we don't need, if you double click on it, you can edit it. We don't need to mess with this. This is static. It stays the same every time. You can see that those things open up in different tabs. So I'm going to go back a couple. Well, I'm going to go back to the main one and open up the next sequence, which has songs, right? So we're going to change the name of this song to God of the Promise. We need to make sure everything's capitalized correctly and spelled correctly. Don't change the font. It's set. And you can tell that I've got this thing right aligned, this text box, so it should line up properly. Exit out of that, come back over into the main sequence, and then double click on the bottom one, and we're changing the artist. And so again, this is Aaron Robertson, Chris Brown, and Stephen Furtick. And so that's a lot of names. We're not going to fit it all in one line. If you let's say you could fit it all in one line. Let's say it was just, maybe so I can see it. Let's say it was just one songwriter. Let's say it was just Aaron Robertson. then you'll notice if I come back out to this main window, the CCLI number is like hanging out into air in that thin air. So what I'm going to do is click on the CCLI number, which is this top one. You can check that by hiding the layer. And I'm going to come to the anchor point, and this moves it left and right, and this moves it up and down. So I'm going to move it up and get it as close as I can to being even. And so there, it all looks nice and pretty. So if you play it back, you can see it builds in nicely. And then towards the end here, it will fade out. Great. But it's not just one songwriter, it's three. So I'm going to go back into, oh, that's the wrong one. I'm going to go back into that, to the artist, and I'm going to add the others. And with a comma, Chris Brown and Steven Furtick. And you notice this is like super duper long. So what I have been doing is separating it into 2 lines as needed. And you can see now the CCLI number is on top of that last name there. So I'm going to again click on this top layer, which has the CCLI information in it. And I'm going to change the anchor point. I'm actually just going to hit reset. Well, that isn't what I wanted. I think it was at 500 before. So we take it down. You can just click on it and type it in. And there you go. If you didn't catch it earlier, you can just hover over any of these numbers and then just click and drag left or right, and it will change them. Or you can click on it again and type in a number. But that looks good. You can watch it again, make sure it is right. You can click on this window and hit the tilde key, which is the little squiggly line next to the number 1, and it will full screen the preview window if you wanted to get a better view of it and make sure that your spacing is all good. So anyway, that is all there is to it. You can do it in usually a couple minutes. I'm going to export it now. I'm going to go File, Export. Well, I almost did it messed up. I'm going to hide that picture so that it's just a black. I'm going to File, Export, Media. And I want H.264. I want to match high bitrate. And I'm going to go to Sequence, click on that. And it's going to ask me where I want to save it or what I want the name to be. So this gets saved in the production folder, in ProPresenter, in Sanctuary, and then song credits. And then we just name it the name of the song. And now that I'm doing this, I realize I got the song title wrong. So we're going to change that. Yeah. All right, so that's all there is to it. And now I'm going to export it again. Oh. So good thing I noticed this too. So if I were to hit export while I'm clicked on this tab, I would just export this layer. So I need to make sure I'm back in the sequence that I want to export and export media. Everything's correct. So I'm going to change the name and choose the right folder, which is Dropbox, Production, ProPresenter, Sanctuary, Song Credits. Rename it God of the Promise. Spell it right. And then dash song credit. And you might wonder why I do that. Well, the reason is, well, it already exists. I'm going to replace it. And then you hit export. Yes, I do want to replace it. The reason you do that, whenever it's done, I'll show you, is that so now on a Mac, I can hit Command Spacebar and then type in God of the Promise and then song credits, and it gets the right thing. But there's also production notes and the ProPresenter file and all kinds of things related to God of the Promise. So just having that dash song credits just helps you differentiate what it is. So Anyway, that's all there is to the Swine credits. You hit save, command save to save the template again, and or actually just don't do that and it'll be fine. And but Premiere, and you're done.